You were my plan B, not my dream, my girlfriend told me when I found her with her best friend. I left without looking back and moved on with my life. 2 years later, she showed up at my wedding dressed in red, screaming that she was the real bride. I'm Elias, I'm 30 years old, and I work as a physical therapist in Boston. This is my story, and although it sounds like something out of a bad movie, I swear to you that every word is true. It all started on a Friday in October. I had planned that day for weeks. I had the ring in my pocket, a simple silver one with a blue stone that I saw in a second-hand shop. It wasn't expensive, but it was perfect. Camila always said she didn't like ostentatious things, that she preferred what was simple, what was authentic. For years together had taught me to believe her. I had taken the day off from the clinic where I work. My colleagues knew what I was going to do. Sandra, the receptionist, winked at me as I left. Good luck, Elias. She's going to say yes. I smiled nervously, the ring heavy in my pocket and a bag of Thai food in my hand. Pad Thai, her favorite, from the restaurant 3 blocks from our apartment. Our apartment. Well, technically it was mine. I had been renting it since before I met her, but Camila moved in 2 years ago. She said it made sense, that we spent all our time together anyway. I paid the security deposit when she moved in and never asked her to split the expenses equally. She worked at an art gallery, earned less than me, and it didn't seem fair to pressure her. Besides, we were a couple. That's what couples do. They support each other. I walked up the stairs of the 4-story building with my heart beating fast. I had rehearsed how I would do it. I'd put the food on the table, take out the ring, get down on one knee, and say something simple. Camila, I want this to be forever. Will you marry me? Nothing elaborate, nothing that sounded fake, just the truth. When I opened the apartment door, I heard laughter coming from the bedroom, laughter that wasn't just hers. I left the bag of food on the small table by the entrance and walked slowly down the hallway. The bedroom door was ajar, and there was Camila, in our bed, with Mateo. Mateo was her best friend from college. I had seen him 1,000 times. He would come to our apartment, we'd watch movies, share pizzas. I trusted him. I trusted her. I trusted them both. I don't know how to describe what I felt in that moment. It wasn't anger, it wasn't sadness. It was something colder, as if someone had flipped a switch inside me. I just stood there in the doorway, watching them. She was wrapped in the blue sheet we had bought together at Target. He was bare-chested with a stupid grin on his face. Camila saw me first. She sat up abruptly, her eyes wide. Elias, this isn't. It's not what it looks like. Oh, it's not. My voice came out calm, too calm. Then what is it? Mateo scrambled up, looking for his shirt. Bro, I'm sorry. We. Shut up, Mateo. I didn't look at him. I only looked at Camila. How long? She swallowed hard. Elias, please, let me explain. How long, Camila? There was a long silence. Mateo put on his shirt and left the room without another word, leaving only the sound of the front door closing behind him. Camila stayed there, clutching the sheet to her chest, looking at me as if I were the one who had done something wrong. 6 months, she finally said. 6 months. Half a year. While I was planning to propose to her, she was with him. While I was working extra shifts to save money, she was bringing him into our bed. While I was trusting, she was lying. Why? It was the only thing I could ask. Camila bit her lip. I saw tears in her eyes, but they didn't move me. You were the plan B, Elias. Not the dream. Mateo and I, there was always something, since college. But he wasn't ready for anything serious. And you. You were there. Plan B. Those words stabbed me like knives. For years reduced to that. I was the safe guy, the one who paid the bills, the one who was there when she needed stability, but I was never what she really wanted. I took the ring out of my pocket and placed it on the nightstand, next to the lamp she had chosen. Keep the apartment. I'll send for my things next week. Elias, wait, please, let's talk. I didn't answer. I walked out of the room, grabbed the bag of Thai food that was already cold, and left. I went down the stairs, out onto the street, and walked aimlessly for hours. Boston in October is cold, but I didn't feel anything. I just walked with the bag in my hand, not knowing where to go. I ended up at the apartment of Luis, my best friend since high school. Luis opened the door in sweatpants and an old t-shirt, a beer in his hand. Elias? What happened? You look like a zombie. I found her with Mateo. Luis didn't say anything, just stepped aside to let me in. I sat on his couch while he put the Thai food on plates. We ate in silence. There was nothing to say. Luis knew that if I wanted to talk, I would. And if not, he would be there anyway. That night, I slept on his couch. I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I just stared at the ceiling, thinking about how I had been so stupid, how I didn't see the signs, how I wasted 4 years on someone who never saw me as her first choice. The next Saturday morning, Luis woke me up with coffee. What are you going to do? Move out. Start over. Are you going to talk to her? There's nothing to talk about. Luis nodded. And the ring? She can keep it. Or give it to Mateo. I don't care. Over the next few days, I focused on the practical things. I found a small apartment, a studio on the second floor of an old building. It was basic, with a tiny kitchen and a window that looked out onto an alley, but it was mine. I signed the lease, paid the deposit, and started moving. Camila tried to call me many times. I let every call go to voicemail. I listened to the messages once, just to confirm there wasn't a real emergency, and then I deleted them. They all said the same thing, that she was sorry, that she made a mistake, that she wanted to explain, that I was important to her. But she never said she loved me. She never said I was her first choice, only that she made a mistake, as if stumbling upon Mateo and ending up in bed was something accidental. I blocked her number. I blocked Mateo. I also blocked the mutual friends who I knew would report everything I did back to her. It wasn't out of anger, it was for survival. If I wanted to move forward, I had to cut all contact. The move was quick. We didn't have many things together. Most of the furniture was mine from before she arrived. I packed my clothes, my books, my computer. Luis helped me move everything in his pickup truck. Camila wasn't there when I went to get my things. She left a note in the kitchen. I'm so sorry, Elias, truly. I threw it in the trash without reading the rest. My new apartment was empty. I only had a mattress on the floor, a folding chair, and unopened boxes. I sat in that chair the first night, staring at the white walls, and for the first time in days, I felt something. Not sadness, not anger, just a huge void. But that void was mine, and I could fill it with whatever I wanted. On Monday, I went back to work. Sandra gave me that "I won't ask" look. She already knew, but she didn't say anything. My patients knew nothing, and that was a relief. I spent the day doing stretches, adjusting postures, talking about injuries and recovery. It was mechanical, but it kept me busy. During lunch, I got a text from an unknown number. Elias, it's Mateo. We need to talk. I blocked him without replying. There was nothing to say. He knew what he did. I knew what he did. We didn't need a conversation to confirm the obvious. The weeks passed. I bought cheap furniture from second-hand shops, a small table, a sofa that smelled a bit weird but was comfortable, a floor lamp. Little by little, the apartment stopped feeling like a prison and started to feel like a home. Luis came over often. We watched soccer games, ordered Chinese food, and talked about everything except Camila. He knew I needed time, that I couldn't force the process of getting over it. And Luis was good at just being there without any pressure. One Saturday, Luis showed up with a bag of beers and a grin. "We're going to the gym." "The gym?" "Yeah. You need to get that energy out. You can't stay locked up in here all the time." He was right. I joined a gym near my apartment. I started going every morning before work. I lifted weights, ran on the treadmill, focusing on the physical pain so I wouldn't think about the other kind. It worked. My body got stronger, and so did my mind. 2 months after the breakup, Camila showed up at the clinic where I work. Sandra warned me before she reached my office. "Elias, your ex is here. Do you want me to tell her you're not in?" "No, let her in." Camila entered with a box in her hands. She looked thinner, with dark circles under her eyes. "Elias, thank you for seeing me." "What do you want, Camila?" "I brought your things, some you left behind. And I wanted to talk." "There's nothing to talk about. Please. Just 5 minutes." I looked at the clock. "You have 3. She sat in the chair across from my desk. "I'm sorry. I know I've said it 1,000 times, but it's the truth. I made a huge mistake. Mateo and I aren't together anymore. He moved to New York. And I miss you, Elias. And that's all you're going to say?" "Camila, you told me I was your plan B, that I was never what you really wanted. What do you want me to say? That it's okay? That I forgive you?" "I might forgive you someday, but that doesn't mean we're getting back together. What we had is over. Can't we try again?" "No, Elias. Your time is up. I have a patient in 5 minutes." She stood up with tears in her eyes, left the box on the floor, and walked out without another word. I waited until she was gone to open the box. It was just junk. A sweatshirt of mine, a book I'd lent her, a few photos. I threw the photos in the trash and donated the rest. That night, Luis and I went to a bar. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Relieved," I said. "Honestly." "Yeah. It was like closing a door that I should have closed a long time ago." Luis raised his beer. "To close doors. To close doors." The months went on. Camila kept trying messages on social media that I ignored, posts about healing after a betrayal that were clearly aimed at me. I saw her on the street once, and she changed direction when she saw me. I just kept walking as if nothing happened. It wasn't cruelty, it was self-preservation. I had learned that I didn't owe her anything. I didn't owe her forgiveness. I didn't owe her a second chance. I didn't owe her my time or my energy. The only thing I owed was to myself, to keep moving forward. In March, 6 months after the breakup, I started to feel good. Not just okay, but really good. I had lost weight, gained muscle, and was doing better at work. My patients were recommending me to their friends, and the clinic was considering giving me a raise. My apartment was no longer an empty space but a place I enjoyed being. Luis invited me to his cousin's wedding in April. "You're coming, right? I need company. Jessica's family is huge and I don't know anyone. Do I have to wear a suit?" "Yes, sir." "And are you going to dance with me even if you don't want to?" "I don't dance." "You're going to dance." I went to the wedding. It was in a beautiful hall with hanging lights and tables decorated with white flowers. There were about 100 people, all dressed elegantly, all smiling. I was at a table with Luis and some other friends from college, and that's where I saw her. Elizabeth was the wedding photographer. She was wearing black jeans, a white shirt, and a huge camera hanging from her neck. She moved between the tables, capturing moments, laughing with the guests, adjusting angles. She had brown hair tied back in a ponytail and thick-framed glasses that suited her perfectly. Luis nudged me with his elbow. "Stop staring at her like a creep and go talk to her." "I'm not staring." "Yes, you are. Go. Don't be a coward." But I didn't have to go to her, because she came to me. She approached our table with her camera ready. "Hey guys, mind if I take a group photo?" "Not at all," Luis said, posing immediately. Elizabeth took several pictures, adjusting the light, laughing at Luis's ridiculous poses. When she was done, she looked directly at me. "You didn't smile in a single one." "I'm not one to smile in photos." "Not even a little bit?" "Not even a little bit." She laughed. "Well, the mysterious type. I like it. I'm Elizabeth, but everyone calls me Lise." "Elias. Elias. Good name. Are you here with someone?" "With Luis. He's my best friend." "And you don't dance?" "Nope. We'll see about that." She winked and went off to take more photos. Luis looked at me with a goofy grin. "You like her?" "I don't know her." "But you like her?" I didn't answer, because he was right. There was something about her. It wasn't just that she was attractive, although she was. It was her energy, the way she moved, her laugh. It was different. At the end of the night, when most people had already left, Elizabeth sat down at our table with a beer. That was a good wedding. Exhausting, but good. "How long have you been a photographer?" I asked. 5 years. I started as a hobby, and now it's my full-time job. Weddings, events, some commercial shoots. I can't complain. It must be tough working on weekends sometimes. Sometimes, but I like it. I capture moments that people will remember forever. It's nice. We talked for an hour about her work, about mine, about Boston, about life. There was no drama, no pressure, just an easy conversation with someone who seemed genuine. Before we left, I asked for her number. "Would you like to get coffee sometime?" "I'd love that. But on one condition." "What's that?" "You have to smile in at least one photo." I smiled. Deal. The following months were different from anything I had ever experienced before. Elizabeth and I started seeing each other. Coffee dates, walks along the river, visits to second-hand shops where she looked for vintage frames for her photos. There was no rush, no impossible expectations, just two people getting to know each other without masks. One afternoon, as we were walking through the park, she asked me about my past. "Were you in a serious relationship before?" "Yeah. It lasted 4 years. It ended about a year ago." "What happened?" "She cheated on me. For 6 months, with her best friend." Elizabeth stopped and looked at me. "I'm sorry. That must have hurt." "It did, but it's over now." "Do you still talk to her?" "No. I blocked all contact. It was for the best." Elizabeth nodded. "I respect that. Sometimes closing doors is the healthiest thing you can do." That's what I liked about her from the beginning. There were no judgments, no drama, just understanding. 6 months later, Elizabeth and I moved in together into a bigger apartment. We adopted a dog, Milo, a rescued mutt who became part of our routine. Morning walks, improvised dinners, movie nights. It was simple, but it was real. A year after we met, during a homemade pasta dinner, I placed a ring on the table. It wasn't the same one I had bought for Camila. This was a new one, with a green stone that Elizabeth loved. I prefer to build rather than rebuild. "Will you marry me?" Elizabeth smiled, her eyes filling with tears. "Yes." We planned a small wedding. 50 guests, a quiet hall with natural light, simple flowers. Nothing ostentatious, nothing fake. Just us and the people who really mattered. The wedding day arrived. I was nervous, but happy. Luis was my best man. Sandra from the clinic was among the guests. Elizabeth looked beautiful in a simple ivory-colored dress. The ceremony began. We were in the middle of our vows when I heard a commotion at the entrance. Shouting, rapid footsteps. And then I saw her. Camila, dressed in a screaming red dress, her hair wild and her eyes unhinged, burst into the hall shouting, "That ring is mine. This wedding is mine. I am the real bride." The room fell silent. Everyone turned to look at her. I just took a deep breath and looked at Elizabeth, who had a raised eyebrow and an expression that said, "Seriously?" Two security guards, whom we had hired precisely in case something like this happened, approached Camila. She kept screaming, pointing at me, saying I had betrayed her, that she loved me, that this was a mistake. "Ma'am, you need to leave," one of the guards said. "No. I'm not leaving. Elias, please, tell them this is a mistake." I didn't say anything. I just looked at her. And in that moment, I didn't feel anger, or sadness, or even pity. Just indifference. Luis came up to me. "You want me to handle this?" "No, they're already on it." The guards escorted her outside while she continued to scream. The police, who were also aware of the situation thanks to the restraining order I had filed months before, were waiting for her in the parking lot. I had been warned that Camila had been asking about me, that she had been following my social media from fake accounts. That's why I took precautions. When the noise died down, the officiant looked at me. "Shall we continue?" I looked at Elizabeth. She smiled and nodded. "Absolutely. We finished our vows. We got married. We danced. We ate. We laughed, as if nothing had happened. Because for us, nothing had happened. Camila was just a shadow from the past trying to creep into my present, but she no longer had any power over me." Months later, I received a letter from a lawyer representing Camila. She was asking for emotional closure, a meeting to talk, a formal apology from me for having abandoned her. I threw it in the trash without responding. Now, sitting on the balcony of our apartment, with Milo at my feet and Elizabeth focusing her camera on the city, I think about everything that happened. About how a betrayal broke me, how I chose to rebuild myself alone, and how I found something real when I stopped looking. Peace doesn't just arrive on its own. It's earned with clear boundaries and with people who don't need fireworks to stay. It's earned by saying no to what hurts you and yes to what builds you up. Elizabeth lowers her camera and looks at me. "What are you thinking about?" "That I made the best decision of my life." "Which one?" "Leaving that night. Closing that door." She smiles and sits down next to me. "I'm glad you did. Because if you hadn't, you wouldn't be here." She's right. Sometimes the best thing you can do is let go of what hurts you, even if it's painful, because on the other side of that pain, there's something better waiting. You just have to have the courage to look for it.